CrimeFighters.
Hello viewers, welcome to your #1 security program on television, CrimeFighters, the police and you. This week, CrimeFighters brings to you an exclusive interview with an astute retired but not tired senior police officer whose desire to become a police officer was ignited by a lot of publications and literatures on policing. The retired Assistant Inspector General of Police started his career in 1961 as a cadet inspector and later attained the peak of his profession as an Assistant Inspector General of Police before hanging his uniform. He also highlighted the causes and effects of the turbulent incident in the country that has claimed the lives of so many Nigerians. On our Police Brief segment, we'll bring to you the special report of an alleged killing of a divisional police officer and some of his men by soldiers in Badagry, Lagos State. While our security tidbit promises to provide you with useful security tips that will enable you to be security conscious. This episode promises to be exciting, educative and informative. Happy viewing.
CrimeFighters. Exclusive interview.
Welcome to our interview segment on CrimeFighters, the police and you. Today we'll be speaking with a renowned senior police officer who retired from police service some years ago. He is Ezedima Ifejika. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Sir, of all the professions in the world, what inspired you to enlist into the Nigerian Police Force?
Good. You see, when we were in school, we had access to all sorts of novels and publications. There was this detective series by Sherlock Holmes, how they were fighting crime through crime detection. Then, just as I was on the verge of leaving school, I remember I was going through the Daily Times newspaper, and the Nigerian in UK was going for his A-level in London. So he left his station in northern England, northern London. I was from Finsbury Park. He was going to central London to take his GCE. He hadn't money on him, according to the story. So he decided to go to trek. So on the way trekking, he left about midnight, and about 2 a.m., police patrol team, the British London Metropolitan Patrol Team saw him trekking, a black man at that time. They stopped him. He said, "Mister, where are you going to at this time?" He explained to them that he was going for exam. He hadn't money for his transport, so he decided to go on foot. They looked at him, looked at the papers. They were satisfied. They said, "All right, come on, enter the car." They carried him to the Metropolitan headquarters, made a bed for him, said, "Lie down and sleep." Made a cup of tea with some bread, gave him. So when it was about 5 a.m., they woke him up, said, "Oh, you can now go." So that memory had not faded from my mind even till tomorrow. And these were the people that brought police to this country. Everything we did was modeled on the pattern of the British police. And even another Nigerian told the story then of how he went into a kiosk, a booth, to make a phone call. And not really to make a phone call, he was pressed. He felt like urinating. So he went into it and picked up the handset and pretended to be phoning and was easing himself. Not knowing that some policemen were around the corner. When he finished and came out, as soon as he came out and wanted to go, the police accosted him. So what did you go in there to do? He was quite honest. He said, "Look, I was pressed. I didn't know where to urinate, so I went in there to urinate." Then the police said, all right, for saying the truth, don't do that again. Nothing is a telephone bill. So you saw people with human feeling wouldn't know what to do. Like the man, the Nigerian, they gave a ride to their headquarters. Like this man, he committed a small offense, they forgave him. So that was my idea. That if we join the police, these were the things we're coming to see, that similar things happen in Nigeria.
Sir, you were seconded to Namibia for peacekeeping. What was the experience like considering the crisis in Namibia at that time?
Okay, good. Namibia was a colonial territory, the last colony in Africa, very vast, almost the size of Nigeria, almost. Nigeria is a little bigger, with a population of about 1.5 to 1.7 million. South Africa was administering the country. But when the United Nations asked them to let go, they refused to let go. So, and they introduced apartheid in the country. So the indigenous, led by Comrade Sam Nujoma, formed what they call SWAPO, Southwest African People's Organization, because Namibia was known as Southwest Africa, and then started agitation. The blacks were a formidable group. They knew what they would gain if they should stay on their own, if the country should be handed over to them. Then later, after they agreed to cede power, that is, South Africa agreed to cede power to Namibians, then they asked the police from various countries, about 25 countries, to go into the country and police the police, to monitor the policemen there. We're not going to, we did not go there to perform police duties as such. We went there to monitor because they were accused of intimidating the people, brutalizing them, damaging their property, shooting them at will. So we went there from 25 countries. Nigeria sent in 183 policemen, and yours truly led the team. We worked well with them. Initially, they found it difficult, because when you know that you are being monitored, you are being policed, when you are doing your work, and somebody is jotting down how you are working and so on, and filing a report against you or your family, you won't feel comfortable. So they didn't feel comfortable that we were there, but later on, those of them who knew police duties knew that they had nothing to fear. So we worked amicably, and I must tell you that Nigerian policemen excelled. They excelled in Namibia, to the extent that towards the end, the Namibian government wanted us to remain. In fact, we only stayed there for under 3 months after we decided to go. The government called us back. Left to them, they would have asked us to remain, because the natives wanted us to be there to teach their policemen how to police the area. That was a glorious period in Nigerian police history. But that was the first time I saw people asking for Nigerian police to remain.
Before now, bombing and terrorism was alien to the country. Unfortunately, for the past 2 years, we've had a series of bomb blasts, and it could be likened to terrorism. Can you tell us what is the cause of this ugly trend in the country?
You know, the world is now a global village. For instance, the fashion in UK today, next week it will be here in Nigeria. Latest next week. The latest cars they drive in US, if you come to Nigeria, you see them. So these things, they learn them. Now the bombs at everybody's, you can have it as your beck and call. The oil companies, they use explosives. Those who do mining, even those who do road construction, they use explosives. So these people have perfected how these things could be done. Besides, some of these groups in the Middle East, the Taliban's and so on, they use bombs. And they have their sympathizers here. These are the people that use the bombs. So it is easy. The world is a global village. It's easy for these things to move around.
As an experienced security personnel, what do you think is responsible for the high rate of crime in the country?
A lot of things. Unemployment is number one. When people are not employed, look at the number of graduates roaming around the streets. I think one of our literary geniuses said that their generation was far ahead of the present generation. Because when, for instance, when I left school, there were options. The Ministry of Works, they were asking me to come. The EC and then NEPA asking me to come and join them. The UAC, Liver Brothers, they were all over the place looking at Shell, looking out for people to recruit. But not so now. So many people are there, no jobs. Then don't forget, our people have handled sophisticated weapons. As a result of the Civil War, some of these weapons were stolen. Now we have porous borders. So arms and ammunition are everywhere. When you look at the arms seized from the militants from Niger Delta, you start wondering, how did these weapons enter the country? So there was a lot of arms. And now in Nigeria, everybody wants to be a millionaire. Everybody wants to make it by hook or crook. So these are some of the things that, but we know the government is battling it. If you look at the Niger Delta reform group, what they are doing about Niger Delta, they are training them, paying them, getting them to be doing something that will help them instead of carrying arms and so on. So that is helping. And individuals are setting up industries. To find jobs for these boys. Above all, the boys are asked to find something doing themselves. The newspapers have been carrying series of articles, even the television, showing people who on leaving school went to learn something to do. Some are cobblers, some are mechanics, some are even hairstylists, women, some are tailors, and they've made it. There's a tailor I know today. If you see what he did, what he has, he marveled. The tailoring we look down on. They are now making it. Self-employment is now in vogue. So people have to look for the jobs to do instead of depending solely on the government.
It was alleged that a DPO and 3 policemen were killed by a sister security agency. How do you react on that?
It is very unfortunate, it is very sad that such a thing should happen. It only shows that we are still very primitive in this country to take away people's lives for nothing. What we were doing during our time, if you mount duty as DPO, you reach out to the sister services. You are at the DPO, you and the battalion commander will be interacting, maybe playing tennis together, playing golf together, and so you know yourselves on first name basis. So if there's anything, I mean, no such thing would happen. Before you could hear Jack Robinson, the DPO would have phoned the battalion commander, or vice versa. If there's a soldier that committed an offense, for instance, the DPO will phone the battalion and say, look, your boy did something, well, I'm here. The next thing, he will send his military police to come and pick the balls, and so on. But when they are not in good relationship with them, all right, you become a strange person when you go to them, when such a thing happens. So there is need for that personal relationship to exist at all levels.
Sir, if you are still in active service and deployed as a senior police officer to some of the states that are fermenting troubles, what would you do to quell the crisis, and how would you want to protect the lives and property?
For instance, when I was in Jos as commissioner of police, I had to call the leaders of the various groups and talk to them. They were my friends. Various groups. One of them was an army man, and he was very happy I called him. He thought I was calling him to arrest or bully him. I called him to be my friend, and he told me his story, that there was an earlier disturbance in Jos, and during the disturbance, when the policeman was trying to arrest people, when with his elbow, he punched him on the nose, and he started bleeding. So the man told me that his group came and said, who did this? Is it the police? He said, no, it's not the police. I'm used to having bleeding nose. That man was a very good man in Jos, and he was one of the Muslim leaders. Very good man. He remained my friend until I left Jos. So you see, if you reach out for these groups, reach out and find out their problems, so that if there's going to be a problem, you nip it in the bud before it arose. That one, for the period I was in Jos, I never had any disturbance. Everything was calm. And if there was going to be one, they would tell me in advance.
With this, we've come to the end of our interview segment on Crime Fighters, the Police and You. We've been speaking with Assistant Inspector General of Police Ifejika, retired. He has been able to tell us more about his years in active service and also his expectations from the Nigerian police force. Sir, thank you for being on the program with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Stay tuned for more.
Crime Fighters.